Okay, let's dive into this. What if I told you that one of the world's youngest billionaires literally lost everything in just a matter of days? Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a guy who was once worth billions, whose company was trusted by millions, and who, practically overnight, became the face of one of the absolute biggest financial collapses in modern history. We're mapping out the rise and fall of Sam Bankman-Fried, going way beyond the headlines to figure out exactly how an empire of this magnitude was built and, well, how it unraveled so incredibly fast.
72 hours, that's it. That is all it took to completely obliterate a massively trusted cryptocurrency empire. Just 3 days for a sprawling global enterprise, one that literally took years to build and held the financial futures of countless customers to be completely wiped off the map. The sheer speed of this destruction, it's something the financial world had basically never seen before.
And, we aren't talking about some tiny little startup here. $32 billion. That was the estimated valuation that just evaporated almost instantly in November 2022. To put that into perspective, along with that absolute mountain of money, the trust of millions of everyday customers disappeared into thin air right alongside it. A loss of this colossal scale, it sends shockwaves not just through crypto, but through the entire global financial system.
So, it really begs the core question, doesn't it? How did a trusted empire vanish in days? How exactly does a $32 billion fortress just crumble over a long weekend? To truly wrap our heads around the panic of 2022, we can't just look at the crash itself. We actually have to flash back to the very origins of the founder. We need to look at the foundation to understand how the whole house eventually caved in.
Section 1. The Prodigy and the Exploit. Now, what's really interesting about this is how he actually started. Before the billions, Sam Bankman-Fried was an MIT math prodigy raised by Stanford law professors, and he noticed a highly lucrative loophole. Back in 2017, while most traditional investors were looking at crypto as just some risky experiment, Bitcoin was actually trading at different prices in different countries. You might know it as the kimchi premium in Asian markets. By buying Bitcoin where it was cheap and instantly selling it in markets where the price was higher, he used crypto arbitrage. This mathematical exploit, it's exactly how he made his first millions.
So, encouraged by this massive success, he founded Alameda Research. What started out as a clever little arbitrage play very quickly morphed into one of the absolute largest crypto trading firms in the world. We're talking about actively moving billions of dollars across these complex digital markets every single day. The foundation for his incredible wealth was firmly set.
Section 2. Building the FTX Empire. Fast forward to 2019. Armed with Alameda's capital, Bankman-Fried launches FTX. It was a crypto exchange built for pro traders, sure, but it was equipped with incredibly user-friendly tools that made it accessible to pretty much everyone. But here's the thing, having a good trading platform just wasn't enough. He knew he needed absolute public trust. So FTX goes on this aggressive, honestly almost absurd marketing blitz. They bought the naming rights to the Miami Heat's sports arena. They paid Tom Brady and Larry David for massive global Super Bowl commercials. They had huge industry sponsorships. To the outside world, this omnipresent brand awareness made FTX look like the safest, most reliable bet in crypto. And you know what? That illusion of total security worked brilliantly. From its launch in 2019, major investors just poured billions of dollars in, rocketing FTX's estimated valuation to a staggering $32 billion by 2021. This kind of parabolic growth made Sam Bankman-Fried one of the absolute richest people in the entire industry. To the rest of the world, the guy looked completely unstoppable.
Section 3. The Catalyst and Collapse.
But behind that shiny $32 billion facade, fatal cracks were already forming. So the crucial point is what happened on November 2nd, 2022. That's when everything changed. CoinDesk published this explosive report exposing the actual balance sheet of Alameda Research. And what it revealed was a terrifying reality for investors. A massive portion of Alameda's assets weren't independent fiat currency at all. They were heavily propped up by FTT, which is a token invented by FTX itself. These two supposedly separate companies were actually dangerously intimately intertwined.
The fallout from that report triggered a rapid, completely uncontrollable downfall. The report hits on November 2nd. Instantly, fear spreads like wildfire across the crypto industry. Between November 3rd and the 10th, terrified customers are rushing to withdraw their funds. We are talking about massive liquidity crises, billions of dollars in withdrawal requests flooding the system in a matter of days. FTX just simply couldn't meet the demand. Panic takes over, confidence completely evaporates, and by November 11th, FTX is forced to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Bankman-Fried steps down as CEO. That 72-hour destruction we talked about, it was complete.
Naturally, a collapse of this magnitude immediately caught the attention of the U.S. government. Right after the bankruptcy, authorities launched a massive, sprawling financial investigation. Investigators are out there poring over millions of financial records and internal messages, just trying to figure out where all the money actually went. This intense scrutiny culminated just a month later, in December 2022, when Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas at the request of U.S. prosecutors awaiting extradition. The former billionaire was now face-to-face with the federal justice system.
Section 4, the verdict and takeaway. In October 2023, the federal trial officially began in New York, and the whole financial world was watching. The jury was presented with two very different narratives regarding one of the largest financial scandals of the digital age, and this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict of the trial. On one side, the prosecution argued there was intentional fraud, claiming that billions of dollars in customer funds had been purposefully diverted from FTX to support Alameda Research. On the flip side, the defense maintained that while Bankman-Fried definitely made some catastrophic business mistakes, there was absolutely no underlying intent to commit fraud or purposely rip off his customers.
Well, after weeks of intense testimony and reviewing mountains of evidence, the jury reached its decision. On November 2nd, 2023, which, crazily enough, was exactly 1 year to the day after that initial CoinDesk report was published, Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty on multiple federal charges. He was officially convicted of fraud and conspiracy, and ultimately, in March of 2024, the court delivered its final judgment, sentencing him to 25 years in federal prison. It was a dramatic, very sobering end for one of crypto's most powerful figures.
You know, the rise and fall of Sam Bankman-Fried is a fascinating story about modern wealth. But the biggest lesson here? It was never really about cryptocurrency at all. It's that trust is worth more than money. Trust is literally the absolute foundation of every financial system in the world. Sure, innovation can change the world and massive wealth can be created almost overnight, but without transparency, without accountability, and without responsible leadership, even the most heavily funded empires can just collapse into nothing in a matter of days. History is definitely going to remember the billions lost, but it will absolutely remember this fundamental lesson too.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to really chew on. What happens to our financial systems when absolute trust is broken? It's a question we all need to be asking ourselves as financial technology continues to evolve. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep demanding transparency, and never, ever stop analyzing the systems that you place your trust in.